All right, TalkTicker listeners, let's kick off this deep dive with something pretty wild that Elon Musk brought up during Tesla's last earnings call, their master plan.
Okay.
Now, we're not going to bore you with the quarterly numbers.
Yeah.
We're going big picture here,
Yeah.
exploring how Tesla's vision for like a sustainable energy future has evolved over time. And get this, we're talking 3 master plan documents spanning almost 2 decades.
Okay.
It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It's like we've got these time capsules, of their ambitions laid out.
I like that.
So you've got the original, the secret Tesla Motors master plan from way back in 2006.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got master plan part 2.
Part 2.
From 2016.
Love it.
And then the most recent one, master plan part 3, which just came out this year.
Yeah, just this year. It's like watching a company's dreams unfold in real time.
Exactly.
So let's rewind all the way back to 2006. Tesla was this tiny little company. Their only product was that crazy, expensive Roadster sports car.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild to think that, like,
I know.
that was their starting point.
Yeah.
For trying to change the world.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
What's that?
If you go back and read that 2006 plan, their strategies actually laid out pretty clearly.
Really?
They knew they couldn't just start by making affordable EVs for everyone right out of the gate.
Of course not.
So they said, we need to enter at the high end of the market. Attract those early adopters.
Right. The people with money to burn.
Exactly. The ones willing to pay a premium and then use that revenue
to fund?
To fund the development of more affordable cars later on.
Classic disruption strategy. Love it. But even back then, they were thinking way beyond just cars.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the plan explicitly says their mission is to help the world move away from fossil fuels towards a solar electric economy. The Roadster was just step 1.
It's amazing how it's all right there.
It is.
In the beginning, what's interesting to me is how even back then, they were talking about zero emission power generation. Like that foreshadowing. They're moving to solar and energy storage years later.
So smart.
They weren't just aiming to electrify transportation.
Right.
They were looking at the
whole thing.
Yeah, the whole energy ecosystem.
Wow. And they called it a secret master plan.
I know, right?
It's like they knew.
They had to.
They were onto something huge.
Yeah.
And they were inviting people along for the ride.
It's brilliant.
The roadmap was there from the beginning. Build expensive cars. Then more affordable ones.
Then even more affordable ones.
Right? And all while working on clean energy generation.
The whole time.
It's pretty remarkable when you think about it.
It really is.
I mean, fast forward to 2016.
Okay.
And the release of Master Plan Part 2.
Okay.
By this point, Tesla had the Model S, the Model X, was working on the Model 3.
Right.
And had just acquired Solar City.
Wow. They were busy.
So the 2016 plan reflects that broader scope.
Absolutely.
They weren't just a car company anymore.
Yep.
They were positioning themselves as this integrated, sustainable energy and transportation ecosystem.
That's a mouthful.
It is. And Part 2 is where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they lay out these 4 key elements.
Sorry, I'm listening.
Number 1.
Hit me.
Create stunning solar roofs.
Okay.
With seamlessly integrated battery storage.
Seamlessly.
Seamlessly.
I like that.
Right.
What's number 2?
Number 2, expand the EV line.
Okay.
To cover all major segments.
Like?
Trucks, high-density urban transport.
So for those who don't know, high-density urban transport refers to solutions designed for crowded cities.
Exactly.
So think things like buses and ride-sharing services.
So they're thinking beyond personal vehicles at this point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so number 3.
Okay.
Self-driving capability.
All right.
That would be, get this, 10 times safer than manual driving.
Wow.
10 times.
That's a bold claim.
It is. And number 4, enabling those self-driving cars to generate income for their owners when not in use.
Interesting.
Tapping into the sharing economy.
I like it.
It's super ambitious, right?
It is.
But I think what's maybe even more interesting is the ethical argument they make for releasing autopilot, despite the risks.
Despite the risks.
Yeah, they argued that even though the technology wasn't perfect yet.
It wasn't there yet.
It was already safer than human drivers.
Interesting.
So making it available would save lives overall.
It's a compelling argument.
It was definitely a controversial move.
It was.
And the debate around autopilot,
it rages on,
continues to this day.
It does.
But it shows that they're willing to push boundaries,
push the limits,
and challenge conventional thinking.
Totally.
Which I think is part of...
It's part of what makes them so interesting.
What makes them so fascinating.
Now, by the time we get to Master Plan Part 3 in 2023... the scope shifts.
It does.
Dramatically.
Big time.
It's less about Tesla, the company, at this point.
Okay.
And more about a blueprint.
A blueprint?
For a global, sustainable energy economy.
Wow.
They actually model how to transition the entire world.
The whole world.
Off fossil fuels.
This is where my jaw dropped.
Oh, no, it's big.
We're talking about a plan.
Yeah.
For the entire planet.
The whole planet.
Not just one company.
It's amazing.
It's incredibly detailed.
It is.
Covering everything from renewable energy generation to industrial processes.
A whole thing.
And they lay it out.
They do.
In these 6 logical steps.
Alrighty.
First, repowering the grid with renewables.
Okay, makes sense.
Second, electrifying all transport.
So all transport meaning...
Cars, trucks, ships, planes.
Wait.
The whole shebang.
How do you electrify ships and planes?
Well, that's where things get even more ambitious for sectors where batteries just aren't practical.
Right, because of the weight.
They propose using synthetic fuels.
Synthetic fuels.
So these are fuels made from renewable sources.
Interesting.
Like water and carbon dioxide.
So even if we can't electrify everything directly, they have a backup plan.
Using these futuristic fuels.
I'll follow them.
Okay, so what are the other steps?
Yeah, what else is there?
Number 3.
Okay.
Switching homes and businesses to heat pumps.
Heat pumps.
For heating and cooling.
Okay.
4th, electrifying those high-temperature industrial processes.
Right, the ones we were just talking about.
And that's where...
This is where it gets interesting.
Thermal storage comes in.
Thermal storage? What is that?
So imagine like a giant battery.
Okay.
But it stores heat.
Heat instead of electricity.
Is it electricity?
Okay.
So it allows industries to capture and reuse waste heat.
So it's like recycling energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Makes the processes much more efficient.
Wow.
And reduces reliance on fossil fuels.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, so what about the last 2 steps?
Yeah. Lay 'em on me.
Step 5.
5.
Sustainably producing hydrogen.
Okay.
For things like steel and fertilizer production.
Interesting.
Where electrification might not be feasible.
Okay.
And finally...
This is the big one.
And maybe most importantly... building the manufacturing capacity.
Right.
To make all of this happen.
So they're not just designing the technology, they're thinking about how to scale it up.
To a global level.
That's impressive.
And according to their analysis, it's not only technically feasible.
It's possible.
But it could actually be cheaper.
Cheaper.
Than continuing with fossil fuels.
Whoa.
In the long run.
That's a bold statement.
It is. Of course, there are a lot of ifs involved.
Sure.
But the sheer scope of this plan.
I know.
It's mind-blowing.
It is. We've gone from a luxury sports car in 2006 to this crazy detailed plan
I know.
For a global energy transformation.
In just 18 years.
It's a wild ride.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So what stands out to you the most about these 3 master plans?
Let me think about that for a second. I think for me it's the ambition. You know?
Yeah.
That consistent thread of ambition running through all 3 plans. Like each one builds on the last one,
Totally.
Expanding the scope, pushing the boundaries of what's even possible.
It's like they keep raising the bar.
They do.
For themselves and for the world.
Yeah. And they haven't just been dreaming big either.
Right.
They've actually been executing.
They have.
On these plans.
Think about how much they've achieved.
I know, it's incredible.
In less than 2 decades.
It really is. And that's what makes that 2023 plan so fascinating to me.
Oh, yeah?
They're not just talking about Tesla anymore.
It's bigger.
So much bigger. They're laying out a roadmap.
Wow.
For global change.
And they even estimate.
We do.
The cost of transitioning the world to sustainable energy.
Yeah.
And claim it's less than sticking with fossil fuels.
Less than fossil fuels. It's a bold claim.
It is.
Yeah.
Are they just being like
overly optimistic?
Or do they really believe it's possible?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, the plan relies on several big assumptions.
Like
the cost of renewables continuing to decline, advancements in battery technology, and global cooperation on a scale we haven't seen before.
Let's face it, those are some pretty big ifs.
They are.
And even if the technology is there, right?
Yeah.
Can it be scaled up fast enough to meet these ambitious timelines? They're set.
We're talking about transforming entire industries.
Not just like tweaking a few things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the rubber meets the road, right?
It is where the rubber meets the road.
Can they actually execute on this vision?
Yeah.
Or is it just a beautiful idea?
A nice thought.
Yeah, on paper.
And even if they can, are governments and other industries
are they gonna
follow their lead?
That's a big one.
Because Tesla can't do it alone.
They can't.
They need buy-in from
everybody.
Policymakers. Investors. Consumers.
Around the world.
The whole world.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about the potential downsides either.
Oh, of course not.
Even if they succeed, what are the environmental...
social impacts.
The unintended consequences.
They're mining all the materials.
Those materials.
Needed for this massive...
It's huge.
Energy transition.
All valid concerns.
They are. And, there are plenty of critics out there who argue that Tesla's plans are unrealistic, overly optimistic, or even potentially harmful in some ways.
So where does that leave us?
Yeah. Where do we go from here?
We've got this incredibly ambitious plan.
It's huge.
That could change the world.
Yeah.
But it's also facing a mountain of challenges.
Just a mountain.
And uncertainties.
A lot of unknowns.
What are our listeners
what are they
supposed to make of all this?
I think the most important takeaway is that Tesla's master plan is a provocation. It's a challenge to think bigger. To question our assumptions about what's possible.
I like that.
And to consider the role we might play.
What role do we play?
In creating a more sustainable future.
It's like they're saying, look, this is what we think is possible.
This is what we think.
Now, what are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do?
Right. And even if you disagree with their approach or their timelines.
The timelines are aggressive.
You can't deny the power.
The power of their vision.
They're
pushing the boundaries of innovation.
They are.
And forcing a conversation.
A conversation that needs to happen.
About the future of energy and transportation.
On a global scale.
On a global scale.
I think so.
That's a conversation we all need to be a part of.
We do.
Yeah.
Because even if Tesla's plan doesn't come to fruition.
Doesn't work out exactly as planned.
Exactly as they envision it.
Yeah.
The issues they're raising are real.
They are. We need to find ways to transition away from fossil fuels, address climate change, and build a more sustainable future. And maybe, just maybe, Tesla's master plan will inspire others to come up with even better solutions.
I like that.
Competition breeds innovation.
It does.
And having bold visions like this...
Bold visions?
...can push everyone forward. Yeah.
Even if it's in different directions.
So after this deep dive into Tesla's master plans...
All three of them.
What's the one big question you should be asking yourself?
I'm listening.
I think it boils down to this.
Okay.
Do you believe it's possible to create a sustainable future?
That's the question.
And if so, what role
do you want to play
in making that happen?
Yeah,
that's it right there. That's the heart of it. Belief is powerful.
It is.
And in this case, we're not talking about blind faith. We're talking about informed optimism.
Informed optimism.
Like you got to look at the data.
Okay.
Consider the possibilities and decide if you're willing to invest your energy, your time, even your money in building a future that looks different than the present.
It's about asking yourself,
what if?
What if they're right?
What if it is possible?
What if we can transition to a world powered by clean energy?
Right. What would that world even look like?
Yeah.
How would it change our lives?
Our communities.
Our economies.
Everything.
And that brings us to another really important point.
Okay.
Even if Tesla achieves everything outlined in their master plan,
it's still not a guarantee.
No, the transition to a sustainable energy future, it's not a solo mission.
It's got to be all of us.
It takes a global effort.
Yeah.
A collective shift.
In what?
In mindsets and policies and behaviors.
It's not just about the technology.
It's about the people.
Yeah.
It's about consumers demanding cleaner products,
Okay.
investors supporting innovative companies, and policymakers creating frameworks that incentivize sustainable practices.
Precisely. And that's what makes it so interesting.
I know.
Tesla's master plan isn't just a blueprint for the company.
Right.
It's a catalyst for a much broader conversation.
About our collective future.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a challenge to think beyond our current limitations.
Totally.
And imagine a world where sustainability
isn't just a buzzword.
Not just a trend.
But the foundation.
The core.
Of our civilization.
That's the dream.
It is a big dream. So what can our listeners do?
Yeah, what actions can they take?
To be a part of this transition.
Yeah, even in a small way.
Even in a small way.
There are so many ways to get involved.
Like what?
It could be as simple as switching to energy-efficient appliances.
Okay.
Reducing your carbon footprint. Or supporting businesses that prioritize sustainability.
I like that.
Or it could mean advocating for policy changes.
Okay.
Investing in renewable energy companies. Or even pursuing a career.
A green career.
In a green industry.
It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play.
We do.
And that our individual choices combined
together
can create a ripple effect.
That leads to meaningful change.
Powerful stuff.
And remember, this isn't just about saving the planet.
Right.
It's about creating a better future.
A better future for ourselves and for future generations.
Future generations. A future with
cleaner air, healthier ecosystems, more resilient communities.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Tesla's master plans,
it's been a journey.
We'll leave you with this thought.
Okay, hit me.
The future is not predetermined.
No, it's not.
It's a canvas waiting to be painted.
Ooh, I like that.
And we,
each and every one of us,
have a brush in our hands.
We do. What colors will you choose?
Yeah, what world?
What will you create?
Will you help create the story of sustainable energy?
It's still being written.
It is. And it's up to all of us to decide
how it unfolds.
That's it for this deep dive into Tesla's master plans. Thanks for listening.